welcome to Code Rush with Gaurav. Recently, in Google I/O 2026, which happened last month, there were a lot of announcements made about anti-gravity. New updates in anti-gravity IDE, new anti-gravity CLI, SDK, and a brand new desktop app which is now called as Antigravity 2.0. So in this video, we're going to do a double click and a deep dive on all of these. We'll see what is the difference in each of them, what persona should use, what flavor of these products, and end of the day, what makes a difference for you, and what is the right app for you. Along with that, Google also announced Gemini 3.5 Flash, which is a fast model. We'll put that to a test and see how really fast that is. So wait till the end of the video. Stay with me for an awesome conclusion and summary, and let's get started.
If you have used Antigravity before, you will see a change in the product section of the Antigravity website. And now instead of Gemini CLI, we have Antigravity CLI for a consistent naming and platform of products. We have already used Antigravity IDE and did a dedicated video on that. I will drop a link in the description for that. What is new here is, and catching everyone's attention, is the CLI and Antigravity 2.0. These are one of the many enhancements and new offerings that were announced in the Google I/O 2026 event that happened recently. There are many announcements made at Google I/O this year, and for this video, we are looking at things related to antigravity. Antigravity now comes default with the latest model, that is Gemini Flash 3.5. I have played around with Gemini Flash 3.5, and I can say it is not just lightning fast, it is intelligent enough to perform complex tasks. And a pro version of Gemini 3.5 is in works, so we can expect that to roll out very soon and to be available in Antigravity as well. On the benchmark comparisons, Gemini Flash 3.5 is already beating Claude Opus 4.7 and GPT 5.5 on many parameters. On multi-model capabilities and MCP integration, I see Gemini 3.5 Flash model is a winner right now. On coding tasks, it is at par with the flagship models, but what wins here is the speed. I have been a fan of Composer model that is shipped along with Cursor for lightning-fast speed it provides and a balance of handling complex tasks. And Gemini 3.5 Flash gives me the similar speed and output quality. So that's why this update looks really promising to me. Antigravity now clearly defines the persona and choice to tools based on what a pro developer, a platform engineer, or a product manager will prefer. So at the parent layer and the platform we have Antigravity, and under that we have products like Antigravity 2.0, which is an agent-first desktop application. It is very similar to Codex, which we saw in a recent video. I will drop the link in the description. Antigravity CLI is a command line tool that is very similar to Claude Code CLI, and for those who prefer to stay in the terminal. We have SDK using which platform engineers trying to build AI orchestrations can build on top of. And we have an IDE, which works for folks like me who wants a better control of files and are used to visualize the file tree. The voice input has improved with the new version, and the focus overall has been on the agent-first solutions, which the industry trend is heading for. Alright, that was all about reading announcements. Let's get started on trying out some of these new stuff. Let's head back to Antigravity website and let's download Antigravity 2.0. The desktop application is available for almost all the platforms. I will install it, and before we go to the app, let's check out the engine under the hood. Everyone thought the Flash tier was just for cheap, simple tasks. Google DeepMind just broke that rule. Gemini 3.5 Flash delivers near-pro intelligence at Flash tier speeds. Check out these official metrics from Artificial Analysis and DeepMind's model card. Let's get into the desktop app, and I will show you the updated ID later. After installation, you will be asked to log into your account, and then you should see a screen like this. Now, does this look familiar? Of course it does. That is how modern software is being built. UX is converging. This looks similar to the Codex we saw in our previous video. On the left, we have the projects and conversations. In the middle, we have a chat box, where you can either type or speak your input. And as expected, Antigravity comes with Gemini 3.5 Flash as the default choice of the model. Let us look at some new stuff and see how that works. We have many sub-agents added as part of the default build. These include the goal agent that works towards meeting a goal and defines its own path. This is good for certain tasks where you know what is to be done and you're not very specific about the ways of doing it, or you want an uninterrupted mode of getting tasks done. The schedule agent to run tasks on cadence, like generate a nightly automation report, generate a competitor analysis every Friday. The browser sub-agent tries to bridge the gap between the AI code generation tools and the end result running in the browser. The Grill Me agent tries to question you about a task and its related question on the requirements. I find this very useful as it substitutes a plan mode, and the agent, before starting to code for a task, gets a clear understanding of all the gotchas. The Android CLI command helps in building apps for Android. Let us try one of these sub-agents. When I installed Antigravity desktop app, it auto-imported projects that I had created with the IDE. And one of that project is the XP Style Portfolio website that we have built in one of the Vibe coding session videos last time. So I am going to use the same project and ask the browser agent to run the website. So now the browser agent is trying to understand the Python version to start a local server to serve the static website. Under the project settings, we could configure to trust the agent commands so that we are not prompted every time for confirmations. After running the server, the browser agent is now trying to take control of the Chrome browser and load the website. Do keep in mind that to have this working, you must enable remote debugging in Chrome. Now the agent has spun a browser and loaded our website, and we'll start checking the features one by one. We can do many things from here. Test web vitals, test performance, run E2E tests, and basically do anything that an automated or manual task would do using the app in the browser. And this is a very big win for me, as there was always a gap between what agents thinks they are building and what eventually happens in the browser. Now let's check out some more features added to Antigravity. Under the Settings menu, you can see global and project-specific settings. The permissions given to the agent to run commands without confirmations can be defined at a global level. As well, you can override that at a project level. I would go with unrestricted option only when I know the execution is going to be safe, that too at a project level. You can control the appearance, check the per model consumption and your quota limits, and when the limits refresh. On top of daily quota limits, you can add credits, and that can be tracked here too. On top of the base agent and models, Antigravity allows you to add skills and MCP servers to boost the firepower. During installation of Antigravity, I was prompted if I want to add Android CLI as a skill. That's why you are seeing it here already. It also allows to connect to a variety of external MCP servers listed here. I couldn't find an option to add a custom MCP server other than the default list. I guess I may have missed it somewhere, because it will be surprising not to have that option. We have settings for the browser agent here, which we just ran. You can define the security option here. Since you will be allowing remote debugging and agent to control your browser, it is worth reviewing the security options here. Next, we are going to look at is an interesting feature of scheduled tasks. This is something that bridges the gap between an AI-assisted coding agent and the real SDLC process. As part of the regular SDLC, there are many automated or manual, repeated tasks that teams do. Here we can automate them in a breeze. We already have a working website in the project. I am going to add a daily task that runs every night and creates a report of the automation tests. This is something that every developer relies on. You need a quick feedback loop and integration tests to tell you if something is broken. So here I am defining a task, a prompt for it, and the cadence. And I am all set. Now every day when I wake up in the morning, I have an automation report ready to look at. This can be done for any task that you do on a repeated fashion, like generating code quality reports, competition analysis reports, etc. Let's put new Antigravity 2.0 and Gemini 3.5 Flash to test. We are going to build a classic wall-breaking gravity-based game that we all must have played. Also, rather than using the agent mode, let me try the goal sub-agent to do this. But before that, we must create a project and new folder for this game. Now that our project is set, we can start conversing with the agent in the chat box. Let me summon the goal sub-agent and add my task details. Create a complete HTML5 canvas retro physics game inside this directory. It should be an advanced brick breaker style game, but with real-time gravity and elastic collisions. Add a UI controller panel on the screen that allows the player to dynamically slide and adjust gravity, friction, and ball elasticity mid-game. Ensure it has sleek, futuristic visual effects, a scoring system, and clear restart mechanics. Run and verify it works. Let's hit execute and let's wait for the magic wands to cast some spells. You can control how Verbo's anti-gravity should be while the tasks are running, and since we ran it with a goal sub-agent, I expect fewer interruptions. Now the agent has created an implementation plan, task list, and I expect a walkthrough or an architecture document as well. Typically, while recording these videos, while the agent is doing its task, I play a background music and speed up the video to save your time. But not in this one, as I want you to see how fast it really is. So I guess, now the game is ready and agent is now asking for Node and Python versions to start the server and test the game as we explicitly asked for it. I expected a browser to be launched now, but that didn't happen, or maybe the agent is testing it in a headless mode. Let me launch it myself. Let's copy the URL and paste it in the browser. There we go. The game is called Gravity Break, and we have game canvas on the left and game control panel on the right. Let's give it a try. Why is my board not moving at all? I tried arrow keys, A, D, W, etc., but it didn't work. Oh, there we go. We have control here that says mouse is active. We need the keyboard and let's try again. The ball bounces but doesn't hit the wall. Maybe gravity is pulling it back. Let's adjust a few parameters from here. Cool, I'm able to play now. Cool, I see rewards also coming, but they are going back as the gravity is negative. I can spend good enough time on this later. But for now, you get the idea. Let me also show you one interesting thing I noticed with new Antigravity IDE. You can launch the IDE from the desktop app, and after upgrading the IDE to the latest version, I see a new plugin called Secure Coder added. I want to specially talk about this and highlight it to you. Many times we have heard that the code that AI agents generate has a lot of security loopholes. There can be outdated versions of external libraries that are vulnerable to attacks. Antigravity tries to fix that gap by adding a plugin to the code that can keep scanning it as more and more code gets generated. This brings in trust into AI-assisted and AI-generated coding, which has been missing lately. We have a walkthrough here. Let's go through that. The document explains the logic, core engine, and physics behind the controls. This explains why gravity controls behaved the way they did when we were playing. The rules and scoring logic is explained, and this doc can be used to explain the users of our game on how to get started and how the controls work. Notice that I can add a comment on the document and ask the agent to rework on the game. Honestly, I'm impressed by the speed and quality of the output and outcome. Agent explains the choice of the neon arcade theme for the game and the choice of ball trails and how they relate to ball speed and hits on the wall. This is neat. In our next video, we can take this further by converting the game to an Android app using the Android CLI sub-agent. Would you be interested in that? Let me know in the comments.
And that is it for this video. I hope you were able to enjoy this one, and you were able to also catch a point that whenever a new tool comes up with some new enhancement or some version upgrade, there are lots of new features. The other tools are also catching up. So today, if we take a step back and let's try to see who all are the major players in the AI world right now in terms of tooling capabilities. We have Google, we have Anthropic, we have OpenAI, and then we have Anysphere, which is the parent company for Cursor. Now, every now and then you will see new releases and updates coming from each one of them, and the other tool is trying to catch up. So this competition is good, and because of this competition, things are moving very fast and for good. So you must read about all of them. So if you are using so far Gemini CLI or Claude Code, they are kind of a same tool. If you are good with Cursor, you are getting your output, you don't have to worry about anti-gravity or all of these updates right now. But stay aware of what is happening around. So let's keep a track of all these activities. All of that is happening. In this channel, I'll make sure that I keep you updated about all of this. And at any point of time, you shouldn't have any kind of a fear of missing out or anxiety because of all these recent updates. They are converging ultimately. Google will do something today, OpenAI will do that tomorrow and make sure that they are best for that day, and the same cycle continues. So be aware, keep reading, keep learning new things, and don't have a fear of missing out. What was really interesting in today's video, which I felt like, was the ability to give control of the browser to the agent so that agent doesn't generate a slop and the agent has full visibility of what is happening in the browser. We can start giving some more personas to the browser and use the application from the angle or a point of view of that persona. Now, this makes sure that there is not a lot of AI slop that is getting generated and manual intervention is getting reduced. Another thing that I especially like was secure coder plugin. AI slop is becoming a problem, and it is real. It is becoming very hard to manually review the PRs and the amount of code that is generated by AI. It is very hard to keep up that sanity. Now, plugins like Secure Coder can at least make sure that there are no vulnerabilities, there are no security threats in the code that is generated, because it is very hard to keep up with that. And that is it. This is what I wanted to conclude and interact with you and tell you that a lot is happening. We are in this journey together. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Do let me know in the comments. Do leave a like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow. And I'll see you very soon in the next video. Till then, have a good one. Bye bye.